them where? Cold laughs, telling him, who's gonna believe the word of a killer? And Barry walks in out of costume, stating, they don't need to, they only need to believe the evidence. Wolf asks, what are you doing here with Singh? And Barry tells him, I'm not allowed to investigate Turbine's murder, but Singh is. He then explains that while examining Turbine's body, there were rare cold residuals left behind. Leonard Snart has been using cold guns for so long that it's left an imprint similar to a gunshot residue. As Barry scans Cold's hands, he says that Captain Cold is responsible for Turbine's death, not Trickster. Cold learned that Turbine was going to report what's going on, so he killed Turbine and had Trickster take the fall. Cold shouts, no one betrays the rogues. It was eye for an eye. What are you going to do? I'm already locked up. Singh says that that's true, but he has an idea of a place that can handle him. But then Singh then goes on to state that this was an impressive screw-up, Wolf. Way worse than the inmates running the asylum. I'm gonna have to report this. However, Kristen rushes up telling Singh to hang on. Being warden of Iron Heights is a big job. Wolf's methods might be hard, but they are needed. Singh tells her that he's disappointed to hear her say that. Barry says that he'll go ahead and walk Singh out, and as they leave, Kristen says that everyone deserves a second chance, right? Wolf pulls Kristen to the side, telling her, I may have misjudged you. There's a case you might be able to help me on. Something I'd like to keep hush-hush. Before leaving for the day, Barry stops by August's cell, stating that he could have escaped. August tells him that there was a moment where he thought about it, felt the wind on his face as he raced as Godspeed. But nah, stone walls do not a prison make. He goes on stating that even though what he did as Godspeed was terrible, he had to forgive himself. But until he earns the Flash's forgiveness, this is where he belongs. However, you, Barry, you do not belong here in Iron Heights. When your mother passed, you used that grief to build a prison for yourself. So no matter how many times you've tried to move on, you've always held onto a piece of that prison. So trust me when I state that you've served your time. So Barry visits his mother's grave looking for that forgiveness. Trickster is released, Snart goes to Belle Reve, and Kristen is working with Singh to investigate Wolf. Right now, he's trying to do the best that he can, be forgiven for the lies that he told and the mistakes that he made. He knows that forgiveness isn't cut and dry. It's a mystery, and one that he can't solve. And the only person that he wants to try and solve it with is her. And he asks her, Iris, can you just forgive me? Since man's earliest days, they've always been fascinated with power. It gives control over life and death, and it would make sense that man would steal it repeatedly because it's what defines you. It's power that rules the world, and without it, man would be nothing. And now, his rightful owner wants that power back. In the current time, Barry Allen stands in the graveyard of his deceased mother, asking Iris the one thing that he's always wanted: forgiveness. When Red Death attacked Central City, they saw each other, and she said. Iris tells Barry that she knows what she said. She said that she missed him, and she meant it. Ever since he started working with
Yep. Let's see. Okay. right. That's fine. See if I can get to level 16 soon.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Wally again, he's been happier. It meant a lot that even though they weren't talking, Barry's always been there for Wally. But with everything that's happened, Barry says that he knows and he would never want to rush her. He's sorry for how he acted after Thawne and all of the lies that he told. He just really misses his friends. After a few moments of silence, Iris tells him it's okay. But there's something that she's going to need before anything. She needs to talk to him, to see his life and how he lives. Barry sighs and says, right. Anything you need. In a blink of an eye, Iris is swept off her feet by Barry in his Flash costume, and he says, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Iris tells him, please. I had it figured out the moment Thawne ripped the mask off. The night the lightning hit the crime lab is when you got the Speed Force. You used it and your knowledge of science to make a bright red suit so that you could be a hero in Central City. The real reason you've always been late is because you were out saving the world. Now, show me the chapter of Flash that I haven't read before. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a police escort hits the road transporting Dr. Carver, and Kid Flash is keeping a close eye on it. Carver should be on Kid Flash's hate list, but he was with Black Hole when they unleashed the Speed Force storm that helped turn him into who he is now. Right now, Carver is on his way to stand trial for his crimes, but one would think that Black Hole would try and free him during his transfer to Iron Heights. Just as Kid Flash gets close, there's a purple blur and a female voice asking if he wants to race. As Avery jumps onto Kid Flash trying to hug him, he asks, I thought you were busy with the Justice League of China. Avery tells him that there's no way that she was going to miss Carver's trial. As the two continue to talk, there's a loud screeching coming out of the police escort and a sudden explosion. Kid Flash and Avery work together to try and pull people out of the fire, but then they see Carver, and it's too late for him. As Kid Flash looks at Carver's burning body, he says that this is a crime scene now, but why would Black Hole want to kill Carver? Just then, lightning begins to strike, and Avery looks up, stating, Kid Flash? Back with Barry, he returns to Central City carrying Iris after a visit to the Watchtower. Iris tells him that she needs to know everything before they can continue with this. In the back of Barry's mind, he thinks everything would be telling her about the Flashpoint event and explaining to her that she really has two nephews named Wally. Wally himself said that he wasn't ready to tell her, and if he was to tell Iris everything about being Flash, he would have to reveal that. If you're confused, there are actually two Wally West. When the New 52 started after Flashpoint, we got a new Kid Flash. Once we got to DC Rebirth, the original red-headed Wally came back. To keep things less confusing going forward, we will be referring to the New 52 Wally West as Kid Flash in this story, and we will be referring to DC Rebirth Wally West as Wally. That's when a voice rings out in Barry's head, stating that if he does, then she won't want Barry Allen. Barry suddenly stops putting Iris down, and she asks what's wrong, and Barry says, "Did you hear that?" The voice tells him that being Flash is the only thing that makes him special. Why would a woman like Iris want to know the real Barry Allen if she can have the Flash? Iris begins to say that she doesn't hear anything, but as she says it, her speech begins to slow down until she stops moving. Barry looks around and now can see that not only Iris, but all of Central City is stopping, except for him. The voice then tells Barry, "Come." And Barry sees the lightning strike across the city. He rushes over to where it hit, and then he sees that it struck the Central City Police Department, and that somebody put a giant lightning rod on top of it. Lightning begins to strike it several more times. Crack-a-ga-crack-a-ga-crack-a-ga-boom! And soon, Barry begins to see something coming out of that light. Something human-shaped. The voice tells Barry that he defeated them once before, but this time, they have speed. Multiplex begins to reach out, grabbing Barry, and another voice asks, "Didn't your mother ever teach you sharing is caring? Or did she die before that?" Barry looks back, asking, "Mina? This is who you're working for? This is the leader of Black Hole?" The man beside Mina tells him, "My name is Rajin, Master of Lightning, and I am merely a soldier in this conflict. My lord and master is the true god of the Speed Force. Now bow to him." The voice from before returns, and it tells Barry, "We haven't seen each other in a long time, but I've always been with you. Every time that you would prattle on about your mother, loves, friends, you were confessing. I know all of Barry Allen's secrets, your inner worries, even your fears, and now it's time." A giant arm reaches through the darkness, grabbing Barry, pinning him down,
It's too
and
far
Barry looks
away.
up to see Gorilla Grodd. Grodd shouts, "The Speed Force will finally belong to me, because my life depends on it." Barry manages to free himself, yelling, "You can't control me! So why don't you just tell me why you're dying instead?" Grodd tells him, "Death stalks me due to a rare degenerative disease that most of my fellow apes avoided. But slowly I am losing my mind to this infection." He begins to cough, telling him, "As much as I hate it, sharing Gorilla City technology with Black Hole was necessary. A lightning rod was constructed that will draw forth the Speed Force and save my life. Central City has been drained of all of its speed, and everyone inside is trapped in the moment. If anyone is to enter this field, they too will meet the same fate." Barry begins to fight back against Multiplex, yelling, "I can help! This is not the answer! We can work together to find a cure, Grodd." And Grodd shouts, "The Speed Force is the only way, and I will tear away what belongs to you now, Rajin." Rajin pulls out a wand and he says, "I was just a lowly Star Lab scientist, obsessed with the Speed Force. That was until I heard Lord Grodd's voice. It freed me! And with this lightning wand, I'll be able to control the Speed Force storm and study it." Barry punches into Rajin, asking him, "At what cost?" And Rajin grabs him by the neck, pinning him to the ground, telling him, "Lord Grodd promised me the secrets of the Speed Force. I would die for him."
need to get
Just then,
closer.
Kid Flash punches Rajin, telling him, "Luckily, flashes don't kill." As Rajin falls to the ground, he lets go of the wand, and Avery jumps in, grabbing it, asking, "Did anyone catch that awesome flip?" Barry then asks, "What are you doing here? You need to run. Take the lightning wand and get as far away from here as you can." Kid Flash tells him, "No way! We can!" But Barry yells over him, telling him, "Grodd is more dangerous than anything you've encountered. Please, go." Avery grabs Kid Flash by the arms, telling him,
That's
"You heard the
still
man.
recharging.
It's time for us to go." Grodd then tells Barry, "Don't pretend you're sending the children away to save them. You just wish to keep them ignorant of what I know about you. The truth about Barry Allen, who you really are. You're a child who couldn't save his mother, a boy unable to prove his father's innocence, a man unloved. But that all changed when you became the Flash. Soon you would have friends, you would catch your mother's killer, and you would prove your father's innocence. You had it all. The Speed Force made you special. But deep down, you knew in your heart, without those powers, you would be nothing." Barry finally collapses from Grodd's mental attacks, and Grodd tells Multiplex to prepare him. Mina begins to hook Barry up to a device and tells him, "If you want to survive this, don't fight it." Once Barry is in place, Grodd tells Mina to begin, and she connects the generators together. And as the lightning starts to course through Barry and the surrounding area, Mina yells, "It's too powerful!" Barry tells them to stop. Stop right now, and as the power begins to fade, Grodd tells him, "Now the world will know who the real hero is, without powers." And just like that, Barry Allen is no longer the Flash. Grodd calls out that the Speed Force burns in his veins. But it is not enough, I need more. He reaches down, grabbing Barry by the head, and he tells Rajin to go ahead and retrieve the wand. Bring me the other speedsters. But first, there is something I must show our fallen hero. He steps up to his throne, and it shoots into the air. Grodd holds out Barry's body, telling him, "I was wrong about you. You aren't nothing." Grodd spits in his face, telling him, "You're less than nothing. You're just human." He lets go of Barry's wrist, and Barry begins to feel himself falling back to the ground. He starts to accept his fate as he hears someone telling him, "Not so fast," and Wally catches him before he hits the ground. Barry asks him how, and Wally says, "I saw the lightning from over at Keystone and raced over. But never mind that, why are you falling?" Barry doesn't answer him right away, but that's when another voice calls out to Wally. He looks over and Wally asks, "Is that Kid Flash?" And Kid Flash asks, "What are you doing here?" And Avery asks, "What happened to Grodd?" Wally then turns back to Barry asking, "Grodd? He's as scary as they come. If that ape is here, we're gonna need to come up with a plan and take him down together. Right, Barry?" But after a few moments of not responding, Barry finally falls, stating, "Grodd may have beat me, but he didn't beat the Flash." And Wally then says, "I know, just tell me how to." But Barry stops him, telling him, "No, you don't understand. Barry Allen is no longer the Flash of Central City.
Out of range.
You are." A short while later, at the Speed Force Training Center,
It's too
Barry
far
begins running and
away.
shouts, "Come on, come on!" And then he trips over his own leg. Avery tells him that he's right. His connection to the Speed Force is gone. Whatever Grodd did, he's once again a powerless member of the human race. The only thing that is not keeping him frozen in place like everyone else is the super small traces of Speed Force that are still in his system. And even that's about to wear off. Avery begins running around the lab, gathering up more tools to test with, but Barry calmly tells her to just relax. Kid Flash asks, "How can you be so chill about this?" And Barry says it's because Grodd said that he was dying. And I believe him. Even before this, he always felt the Speed Force belonged to him. He'd even kill for it. We can't let that scare us. Kid Flash then asks, "How are we supposed to stop Grodd without you?" And Wally's voice says, "Grodd is gonna have to go through me first." Wally slides in, stating that he just did a bit of recon around the whole city, and it turns out that everyone is occupied at the lightning rod and not looking for them. If he had to guess, then they're waiting to make a move. Avery says that Black Hole's lightning rod is draining speed from everything in Central City. If it gets to full power and is triggered by Rajan's wand, it would engulf the entire world and steal all of the Speed Force, including their own. Kid Flash says that he loves these powers. He doesn't want to lose them just when he's getting used to them. And Avery sighs, telling him she doesn't want to lose them either. When Godspeed was killing speedsters, she was willing to sacrifice the Speed Force, but now it's a part of who she is. Barry places his hand on her shoulder, telling her not to worry. "We're gonna stop Grodd long before he takes your powers." Barry then says after looking over Mina's computers, the lightning rod isn't just stealing speed, it's slowing everything to a crawl. And if it hits absolute zero, everything dies. Wally says that they're gonna have to evacuate the city, like now! And Barry tells everyone, Wally's right, but we're gonna need Kid Flash and Avery to leave the city. They need to stay on the run, not in Central City. Kid Flash yells, "No way! Not this time! I'm not letting you!" But Barry talks over him, telling him, "Now!" Kid Flash scoffs. "So it's gonna be like that, huh? All the times you told me to run, it's never been to run away from a fight." A second later, both Kid Flash and Avery leave, and Wally says, "You know, you could have been a little nicer about it, Barry." Barry walks over to the table, telling him, "You don't need me to be nice. What you need from me is to become the Flash again. And with this wand, I'm gonna get my powers back." Wally says that he is the Flash. "It's starting to sound like you don't trust me very much." Without even responding to the comment, Barry looks over at the wand, telling him, "This is the key. If I can adjust it and plug it into the lightning rod, I could get a jump start." Wally tells him that if it backfires, then you've just given Grodd what he wants. We gotta destroy the wand. Barry says, "All I need is time. Evacuate the city and find Iris while I..." Wally reaches out, telling him, "It's time you took a step back, Barry." But Barry tells him, "I built a treadmill that can travel through time. I can handle a fancy lightning wand." Wally pulls on Barry's shoulder, but Barry shakes him off, shouting, "I need this." And after the two of them stare at each other, Wally says, "You want time? You got it." And he runs out of the lab. Back out in the city, Avery asks Kid Flash, are they really gonna listen to Barry? And Kid Flash tells her, "Yeah, no. In fact, I'm already working on a plan. Mina can track speedsters through the Speed Force. That's how we met in the first place. So if she wanted, she would have located us a long time ago, which means Grodd totally has her brainwashed. We're gonna snap her out of it." While Wally starts taking everyone out of the city, Barry continues his work on the wand. And after breaking a component, he gets frustrated and throws it. But for Wally, he finally gets to the person he wanted to avoid, his Aunt Iris. She was always there for him, but since he escaped the Speed Force, he's never there for her like she was for him. But before he could even think further, Rajin calls out, "Flash!" And as he sees that it's just Wally, he says, "Oh, it's you, the Pretender. I was told Iris West might be the target to allow us to catch the real Flash. However, Lord Grodd demanded that we collect the sidekicks as well." Wally shouts, "You want the Flash? Then you got me." As Wally takes on Rajin, Barry heads out to the only other place that he knows that he might be able to get help, Iron Heights Penitentiary. He holds the broken wand and he heads over to Kirsten's lab, where she's found frozen holding a tablet. Barry says that he's sorry for doing this and he taps the override button on the tablet
do that yet.
and he leaves. He walks over to the containment cell, stating that Black Hole is back, and they've attacked Central City. I believed you when you said you wanted redemption, and right now, Central City needs you. So please, Godspeed. August steps out of his cell in his Godspeed costume, telling him, of course, that's what friends are for, Barry. Back with Wally, he begins to beat into Rajin, asking, where did Multiplex take Iris West? Where? Through Rajin's cracked mask, he laughs, stating, we took her to a real safe place. We need the girl for bait, so we won't hurt her. Yet. Wally asks, what does Grodd want? He already took Barry's speed. And Rajin begins to laugh, stating that Grodd knows Flash better than he knows himself. Stealing his speed is only the beginning of my master's rise to ultimate power. Meanwhile, over in the Heavy, Barry and August are sifting through more Black Hole files when Barry comes through the original schematics for Rajin's lightning wand. As he looks at it, he says that this is what they needed. They should be able to alter the wand enough so that they can steal back the Speed Force. August tells him, wait a second, that's why you broke me out? This isn't about stopping Black Hole, but rather getting your powers back? Barry says that this is about doing what it takes to save Central City. I need the Speed Force back. August takes off his mask, telling him, you're starting to sound real familiar. You're starting to sound just like me. That sound of being obsessed, especially when it comes to the Speed Force, I killed for it. And yet, I was freed from Iron Heights. Why? Barry tells him that he's seen what Grodd's done to the city. This is what will happen to the rest of the world if he doesn't get his powers back. That is why this wand needs to work. August leans in, telling him, there are plenty of other tag-alongs that you could have asked for help. Why did you free me, Barry? And Barry says it's because he knows Black Hole and their secrets. August tells him, no. You just wanted your bad friend to give you a pass. You don't want my help, you want my permission. So when this is all over, you can blame all the hard choices on me. Barry sighs, telling him, Grodd came to Central City because of me. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't stop him, and getting my powers back is my best bet to stop Grodd. If we can race past Grodd's army, you can get me close to the lightning rod, and then we can lock the Speed Force within me. It has to work. August says, my guts are telling me that this was a mistake. And Barry says, I broke you out because despite everything that we've been through, I still trust you. So now, can you trust me? Across town, Mina leaves to go make the final calibrations for the lightning rod when she suddenly stops. She looks around for a moment and says, you can show yourselves now. Both Kid Flash and Avery stop, and Mina tells them that they are brave to be entering the Lion's Den. Now what do you want? Avery says that they looked at her equipment at the Speed Force Training Center. That lightning rod is going to do more than just drain speed sources to kill everyone. Mina says that they're too young to understand. Grodd getting the Speed Force is a good thing. Kid Flash yells, Grodd is messing with your head. You need to fight back. You're already doing it by not tracking us down. Mina begins to generate power from the negative Speed Force that she took out of Barry Allen, telling the two of them that she doesn't need their help. She's right where she belongs. The lightning shoots out of her hands, and then there's a white blur that runs past, grabbing Kid Flash and Avery. A voice tells Mina, I am super sorry about the whole killing you thing. Can we be friends? Once the blur stops, Kid Flash looks at August, asking, Godspeed? Also at that moment, Wally runs up shouting to Barry, you gotta get the wand away from... But Barry tells him, no! My powers are the only thing that's going to save us. But while everyone tries to figure out what's going on, because now we have Barry yelling at Wally that he needs the lightning rod, and we have Mina with a negative Speed Force trying to fight against everyone, and on top of all of this, we have Godspeed, Mina calls to Grodd to listen to her thoughts. Send Multiplex. Seconds later, Multiplex appears to fight everyone, and Barry tells them all to keep him covered while he gets closer to the lightning rod. As Kid Flash, Avery, and Wally all begin to fight, one of them hits the real Multiplex, and suddenly all of the Multiplexes vanish. Kid Flash says, nice, one of us must have gotten the real one, and Avery tells him it was totally her. They all look back to see Mina and August fighting, and Kid Flash asks, which one do we fight? Avery then says they should just watch, hopefully they'll take out each other. And Wally then looks around asking where is Barry, but up ahead, Barry says that he's sorry. Wally tries to run at him, shouting not to do it, and Barry slams the wand into the lightning rod, telling them all, this will save you all! Wally screams, don't, but after Barry pushes the wand all of the way down, lightning begins to strike, and Barry Allen turns back into the fastest man alive. But that's when Grodd's voice tells him, you're right where I wanted you. All alone. I took what made you special, and you got what you needed, but both of us did. Bringing the wand back increased my mental connection to the Speed Force. Now I no longer needed to control the storm. I am the Speed Force Storm, and you have given me a gift beyond your wildest nightmares, Barry Allen. Barry begins to run towards Grodd, but as he gets closer, something shoots by, kicking him off his feet. Grodd tells him, "You risked all of it because you thought you were the only one to protect the city, and because of that, a new army has been made. And no matter how fast you are, you can't possibly fight it." Barry looks up and he sees Wally and the others, each of them stating, "Worship Grodd or die." With no other choice, Barry gets up and he begins to run, but in the back of his mind, Grodd continues to taunt him. "Barry Allen, you're so obsessed with protecting your life as the Flash that you didn't even think of who you would hurt in the process." Barry hears the voice coming out of Kid Flash, but as he turns, he sees nothing. He shouts, "Whatever game you're playing at using my family is unforgivable." Avery runs by asking, "Is it because you're an expert at hurting your family?" And then August runs by telling him, "Grodd showed me what you really think of me. You think of me as nothing more than a killer." August then passes by a second time, punching Barry into a nearby truck. And Barry says, "It was wrong for me to break you out, but..." Together the four speedsters all yell at him, "Liar! The only thing that you were thinking about was that you needed your powers to save everyone." Barry tells everyone, "You have to fight back, you could win this together." And then Wally runs in telling him, "Stop lying. You didn't have any faith in us, or you would have trusted us. You thought only you could save the day." Wally begins to chase after Barry, and as Wally gets closer, Barry tells him, "You have to remember back to the day we met. Who was with you?" Wally begins to slow down, telling him, "Aunt Iris." And Barry tells him, "I know you're in there. You have to fight it, Wally." Wally stops, struggling to remain in control, and he says, "Grodd, whatever the Lightning Wand did made its connection to the Speed Force even stronger. He wants to see you truly defeated before he takes all the Speed Force for himself, Barry." As Wally goes on, he falls to his knees, shouting out in pain, and Barry tells him, "You need to keep fighting, Wally." Wally looks up, and through Wally, Grodd tells him, "You are such a fool." Wally grabs Barry by the leg and begins to drag him throughout the city, but as he's thrown back to the ground, Grodd tells him, "You have lost. And now, with the Flash's connection to the Speed Force, I am the Lord and Master of the Speed Force." Grodd digs his fist into the ground, going on, telling him, "Mina was the easiest to control. She had real anger." Barry gets back up, telling him, "This is between you and me." But before he can finish, Avery, August, Kid Flash, and Wally all start hitting him, shouting, "All you did was push us away." As the four go on, Barry doesn't fight back, and instead he accepts each blow. He falls to the ground, and Grodd shouts, demanding to know, "Why aren't you fighting back?" Barry sits back up and he tells him, "I thought you were inside my head, but no matter what I do, you'll never get into my heart. Because of that, I will never, ever raise a hand to my family." He stands back up, holding his arms out, telling him, "You're gonna have to kill me, so go ahead." Grodd begins to growl, asking, "This is how you want to win? A moral victory? Do you ask for death to mock me? Hide what could save you?" Barry tells him, "You won't just stop at the
I'm
Speed
out of
Force.
range.
You hunger for more power, and you won't stop until you have the world under your fists." Grodd punches into Barry, asking, "You think you know me? You would kill for the family that you're pushing away? If I can't have the love of Gorilla City, then the Speed Force is a worthy substitute. Why use these gifts to run when you could use them to rule? It was a waste of your power." After knocking Barry away, Grodd begins to charge towards Barry as he stands back up. He looks back and he smiles while holding the lightning wand, and Grodd asks, "What are you doing?" And Barry tells him that he was collecting the pieces that he needed to adjust the lightning wand to create a very specific frequency in the Speed Force. And he's going to do what he was supposed to do from the start. As Grodd gets closer, Barry charges the wand with the Speed Force, and Grodd grabs onto it, feeling the Speed Force shoot throughout him. Barry then says, "I'm doing everything in my power to save you, Grodd." As an explosion goes off, Wally runs over, telling him, "Grodd had his teeth firmly clamped into our brains." And Barry pushes some rocks off of him, telling him, "Not anymore, he doesn't. You're all free. And for that, thank you." Wally asks, "What are you talking about? You just saved us all." Wally helps Barry up, and Barry tells him, "You were the Flash. I should have trusted you to handle this on your own, and you did." Wally says that he didn't, though. Iris is still missing. And Barry stops him, telling him, "We'll find her." August asks, "So, what did Barry do about the big ugly monkey?" Grodd weakly says, "He cured me. The disease is gone, but I am also powerless." Barry tells him that his mental powers were a part of his heritage. He'll still have those, but whatever connection he had to the Speed Force is gone. Forever. Now it's time to turn that lightning rod off and return to Gorilla City to enjoy your new lease on life, Grodd. Grodd yells as he hits the controls on his throne, and Mina shouts, "You can't let him turn it off! The lightning is the only thing keeping the storm in check!" The lightning rod begins to build up power, and Wally asks, "Do you feel it?" Barry tells him, "Yeah. The storm isn't just filled with Speed Force energy anymore. It's the negative Speed Force energy in there as well." The lightning rod begins to rip apart the city, and Grodd yells, "I would rather be dead than live without power, and I will take Central City with me." Barry quickly jumps up and begins to attack Grodd so that he can give the time to everyone else to evacuate the rest of the city. But while Barry yells to Wally to keep looking for Iris, Grodd slams him into the ground, shouting, "The city is lost. Further proof that you are nothing even with powers." Grodd begins to punch him over and over again, and just as he delivers the final blow, he feels something. Grodd looks back to see Barry, and Barry starts punching into him, asking, "How? I just saw you." And Barry asks, "Saw me beaten to a pulp?" "Yeah. I used that connection that we made to make you see what you wanted. You killing the Flash." Barry reaches up to help Grodd up, and Grodd tells him, "Pull back your hand. I would rather be buried under my final triumph than live another day without the Speed Force." But just then lightning cracks, and 3 guards from Gorilla City appear, stating that he will not die here. It is their duty as the Gorilla City guards to arrest Grodd. His presence here has been known to them since the attack, but they couldn't enter until the lightning rod fell. Grodd will pay for his crimes, but not by a human's hand. They needn't to worry about Grodd ever again. Before Barry even has a chance to stop them, there's a loud crack, and another bolt of lightning strikes right where Barry is standing. At the last second, Wally pushes him out of the way, stating, "You should know better than standing still during a lightning storm. Oh, and don't worry about Iris. I found her." The rest of the speedsters run up, and August asks, "Did I really just see a bunch of flying monkeys, or am I finally losing it?" Avery then says that they got everyone out of the city, but Grodd is right. Central City is gone. Mina takes out her tablet and says that it's worse than that. The negative Speed Force is spreading fast. It'll soon overwhelm Central City and then Keystone. Barry tells her that there's only one choice: race around the city to let the Speed Force lock in with it and steal the speed from it. That should dissipate the storm. Mina says that this is the opposite of the Speed Force storm. That's why it's destroying everything instead of giving everyone powers. Even if they make it out alive, they could lose their powers for good. Barry looks at himself and says, "I didn't say we. I fought hard so I can get my powers back, but I was wrong. I don't need them. All I need is the Flash family. Now all of you run. Make sure that everyone is safe." Wally asks him, "Are you planning on doing what I think you're gonna do?" And Barry stops him and says, "There's a letter on my desk addressed to Iris. It's for both of you to read. Give it to her and tell her that I loved her." But as Barry finishes, he begins to run. Wally catches up to him, yelling, "This world needs Barry Allen. I need Barry Allen. Don't you get that? We need you to be the fastest man alive. If running into the storm is the only way to save the world, then you're not doing it alone." As the other speedsters start to run up, August then runs with them, asking, "Let's take bets as to who's the fastest." And Barry tells him, "Green Lantern and Green Arrow used to take bets. But the truth is, we're fastest when we run together." All 6 speedsters begin to run to contain the storm. And as Barry said, the storm slowly begins to dissipate. Once it finally fades, Wally yells, "Yeah, it worked! Go Team Flash!" And Barry says, "People call me a punk." As everyone stops, they all begin to use their powers, and everyone says, "Yep, still got him." And Kid Flash looks around asking, "Where'd Godspeed go?" And Mina says that she saw him disappear into the storm as it was dying. But as she says that, Barry takes off running, and Kid Flash asks where he's going. Before Kid Flash could follow, Wally stops him and tells him, "Hold on, I know exactly where he's going." A few seconds later, Barry pushes himself through the crowd of evacuated people calling out for Iris. Once Iris hears her voice, she runs up hugging him, but in another place, in another time. A man is looking at a statue of Barry and Iris kissing, and he says that the letter that he left was very touching. Glad the museum kept it in their archives. He really believed he was going to die in that storm, huh? That was the only difference between him and Wally. He knew that one day he would lose. But he never knew me as Hunter Zolomon. He was never my Flash. But here, in the 25th century, I've studied the history of the Flash, all of them. I know his profile better than anyone, even Eobard Thawne, and I can see the cracks in his legacy, and how to turn those cracks into the end of the Flash family as I bring them to war! In the garage of Iris West, her and Wallace listen to the radio as she finishes the last bit of repairs to Wallace's dirt bike. The announcer on the radio reports that a tidal wave is coming towards the coast of Bad Henicia, but the residents are being saved by what looks like 2 flashes. Iris tightens the last bolt, asking Wallace if he could turn that off, and as he does, he says maybe he should go. Iris stops him, telling him no. Barry and Wally handle this themselves. Wallace then asks Iris how does she know her way around a bike. She gets on it, telling him that the only way to get around Markovia was on these things. When they broke down, you really only had yourself to get them back up to speed. Iris starts the bike up, stating that luckily, working with things that go fast runs in the West family. Just then, Barry and Wally run in, and Barry says that he only lost a second on him on the way here. Wally tells him it's because he always takes the scenic route. Iris ruffles his hair, telling him, any trouble running on water? And Barry says that he tried to explain the science of the tidal wave, but Wally wouldn't listen. As everyone laughs, Wally screams out in pain as another of his memories comes back. Barry yells that they're taking him to Star Labs right now. He knows they don't want to, but they need to get these visions under control. Wally starts getting up, telling them, no! Something is coming! A second later, there's a flash of light, and the voice of Commander Cold, along with his renegades, calls out to Iris. He tells her, by the order of the temporal courts, you're under arrest for the murder of Eobard Thawne. Barry runs up to Cold, telling him there has to be a misunderstanding. We didn't. And Cold stops him, telling him, Mr. Allen, we know who you are, and frankly, we don't care. We've been ordered by the temporal court's judge to bring Miss West to the 25th century. Everyone begins to put on their costumes, and Wally tells Barry, you heard him, right? They know who you are. And we also know a rogue when we see one. Barry then asks, with a name like the Renegades, how can we trust you? And Cole tells him, I was worried that you wouldn't remember our last encounter. Seems I was right. Wally gets in front of Iris, telling him, she's not going anywhere. And Barry tells everyone, okay, calm down a second. Maybe we should hear them out. If we talk things out, we can. But without a second thought, Wally grabs Iris and starts running, stating, this is not happening. Barry calls out to Wally, and Cold and his team take off right behind him. Down the street, Iris shouts to Wally to stop right there and put her down. She can take care of herself, and they don't ever run from a fight. Just as they stop, Weather Warlock fires lightning down on the two of them, and Iris begins to run with Heatstroke taking off after her. Wallace jumps into the air, punching Heatstroke to stop him, and Barry catches up, telling Cold that they don't need to fight, they need. Cold tells him, it's too late. Golden Guardian, you're up. Golden Guardian smiles and holds up her yellow lantern ring, stating, and the blackest day and the brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what's right burn like my power, Sinestro's might. And as she finishes, fear constructs of evil flashes start running out, taking everyone down. As Barry and the others try to fight back, more and more constructs appear, and Cold holds out his gun, stating that he's sorry to do this, but... However, before he can pull the trigger, Iris flies out of the garage on Wallace's dirt bike, running into Cold, telling him no one ever takes aim at her family. Before she can get very far, though, Wally starts to have another vision. And just as the renegades surround him, Cold gets back up, telling everyone, stand down. Wally West is having what we in the 25th century call a temporal seizure. It comes from time travel or changes in the timeline. His memories are being splintered and they're causing damage to him. Iris asks if he can help him, and Cole tells her, yes, but our orders are for you. If you come with us and answer our questions, your nephew will be cared for. Iris says that even with Thawne's blood on her hands, her family let the fear of that man haunt them. No more. She's not afraid of him. Let's go. Barry yells out for them to wait. Let me come as a witness. I could explain her innocence to the courts. They'll understand that it was self-defense. Cole tells him that he really doesn't care who comes with, as long as Iris is with us. And Wallace says, if you're going, I'm going too. I would run to the ends of the earth for her. No one else is going. I don't trust them. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe the visions are a warning. Barry says, look, Iris is right. This needs to end. If you don't want to go, I understand. Wally tells him, no, I'm going to follow. I'll trust them for now. Cold sighs, stating, great. Happy family, hooray. Next stop, the temporal courts. As a loud gzzz, and in a flash of light, the group is suddenly in the temporal courts of the 25th century, except Wally West isn't with them. Barry looks around asking where is Wally, and Cold looks at his scanner stating that he should be with us. This is all wrong. Meanwhile, over at the destroyed Flash Museum, Wally appears and frantically looks around, shouting, asking, where is everyone? What is that? A voice tells him, this is your life, your real life. This is everything that was taken from you. Everyone you ever known or loved. Forgotten, but not lost. Barry did nothing to find them, and they're all trapped as out of the Speed Force, just like you were. You can still be the hero that they need. But the only way to save your family is to destroy the Speed Force. Wally spins around asking who's there, and Hunter Zolomon steps out between the glass cases that are for Jai and Ray West, stating, my name is Hunter Zolomon, but you can call me Zoom. And together, we're gonna save your children. Wally walks up to the cases displaying the costumes of his children, and Hunter asks, you felt something was missing, didn't you? When you were trapped in the Speed Force, Barry pulled you out, but deep down, You knew there was something else. Your family, your friends, your children. I've never forgotten. All I wanted to do is show you how to be a better Flash, and for you to recognize that potential to be the greatest hero that ever lived. Now the pathway has been revealed. Let me show you the way down the right path. Wally clenches his fist, swinging, yelling, like I would ever follow a person like you. And as he hits Hunter, a flood of memories pour into his mind, and he steps back, stating, you tried to kill Linda to teach me a lesson in tragedy. You took my kids, but I got them back. Did you do something to them again? If you don't tell me where Ray and Jai are, I will drag you across space and time. Hunter pulls down his mask, telling him, just listen, I'm not here to fight. Living in the future has given me some perspective on what I've done in the past. Wally begins to create a whirlwind, knocking Hunter away, asking, perspective? You tormented my family! And Hunter slowly begins to get back up with Wally watching, asking, you don't have powers. And Hunter tells him, that's what I've been trying to say, I've changed. After the cosmic treadmill exploded in the Flash Museum, my thoughts were all mixed up. It corrupted my way of thinking, but in the end, I'm still your friend, Wally. Together we can fix our mistakes. You can continue to hate me and lock me up, or we can be heroes again. Back with the others. Cold looks over his reading, stating, Wally did have a crazy amount of temporal energy, but this isn't
Well met. For the Alliance. What are you looking for? Go with honor, friend.
Light be with you. Be careful.
Someone grabbed him. The time stream is a crime scene. As Barry asks for help, the Golden Guardian runs in yelling that they have a problem. The judge is missing. But they found evidence in his office, and it's a little distressing. Suddenly, a video is played back on the many screens that shows the fight between Iris and Eobard. It shows Iris killing Eobard Thawne in self-defense, and Colt then says, "This may not have been about Iris. It's about bringing Wally here too, and I know where he is." Barry yells that if Wally is in danger, we're going after him. And Colt tells his team to lock everyone up until we can sort this out. Barry
It's too far away. I'm out of range. It's too far away. I need to get closer. I'm out of range. That spell isn't ready yet. I need to get closer. I can't cast that yet. It's too far away.
Yes, pew pew one kick. Just get a good one. That is not help.
out of range. That's still recharging. I need to get closer. I can't loot that. It's too far away. I'm out of range. I need to get closer. That spell isn't ready yet. It's too far away. I need to get closer. It's too far away. I'm out of range. I need to get closer. It's too far away. I can't cast that yet. I'm out of range.
He begins running and punching everyone, stating that when they first showed up, he was holding back. But he won't stand still while his family is in danger. Cold grabs his gun, telling him, "That's enough!" Barry smacks it out of his hand, telling him, "You're being manipulated. If you have any idea where Wally is, you're coming with me." Back at the Flash Museum, Hunter goes on telling him, "I warned you about going back in time and changing it. When Barry went back to save his mother, he created the Flashpoint, and he nearly destroyed the world. Though Barry managed to put things back together, there are things missing. Before I became Zoom, I was selfish. I wanted to go back and fix my life, but now, this is bigger than going back in time. There are people trapped in the Speed Force. Wally turns away, telling him that he's just trying to trick him into cutting the connection that him and Barry have to the Speed Force. And Hunter shouts, asking, "Your powers are more important than your children? The temporal energies in your body will allow you to enter the Speed Force at the right speed and break it. It'll be enough to save Ivory and Chai. Be the hero that we all know you are." Just then, Barry runs in with Commander Cold, stating that they never needed a reverse flash to tell them how to be heroes. Cold points his gun at Hunter, telling him, "You're under arrest." And as he fires, Wally runs through yelling, "No!" And he deflects the shot, creating a blast, knocking Barry and Cold away. Seconds later, Wallace and Iris show up, and Wallace asks, "Is that reverse flash?" And Wally tells him, he used to call himself Zoom. He's from before Barry made a mess of things. Barry asks him, "How could you defend someone in that costume?" And Wally says, "I know parts of my life have been taken away. Like my children. I had twins, Barry." Everyone begins to look around, and Iris says that she remembers. She used to babysit them. Who else are they? But before Iris can ask her question, Cold grabs his gun, pointing it at Hunter, stating that everyone is coming with me. The courts will sort this out. Hunter yells to Wally, telling him, "You know that this is too big for them to understand. You have to break the Speed Force." Wally tells Barry that if he runs fast enough, he can re-enter the Speed Force and he can save them. And Barry asks, "Are you really considering this? You were trapped there." Wally takes off running, telling him, "I wasn't asking for your permission." But before Barry could follow, Cold checks his scanner, stating that Wally just jumped into the time stream. There's no point in running. Barry tells Cold, "If you want to redeem yourself, then take care of Iris and Wallace until I catch up. I know there's a cosmic treadmill in this museum." Cold begins pressing buttons on his wrist, stating, "How about a shortcut? I have Wally's Speed Force signatures, so you should be able to get right to him." As Barry disappears, Hunter looks at Cold and tells him, Wally is finally on the right path to becoming the true Flash. And Cold tells him, "You're not going anywhere." And Hunter tells him, "You're here because I created the Renegades." And Cold tells him, "Maybe it's time to go rogue then." Hunter grabs a shiny yellow hammer and slams it on the ground, yelling, "I hate rogues!" And in a flash of light, he disappears. Suddenly, the alarms begin going off, and Iris asks, "What's that?" And Cold says that it's a citywide siren. It's a temporal event. Everyone begins to head outside, and Cold goes on telling them, whatever Hunter did, he changed the timeline in a major way. Time is beginning to erase itself. As the entire city around the three heroes begin to fade to white, Cold grabs Iris and Wallace, telling them, "Don't worry. It may be too late for this, but everything is going to be okay." And as he says this, they fade into white. Meanwhile, in another time, Wally races towards Central City, thinking about the life that he had. And then Barry charges into him, sending the two of them flying down the road. Barry gets up, telling him, "Hunter is lying." And Wally gets up and starts running, telling him, "And what if he's not?" Barry turns to grab Wally, telling him, "Then we'll find another way." And Wally pushes Barry off of him, telling him, "You should be helping me in this. And if you won't, I'll make sure that you never run again." Barry steps back, telling him, "I don't want that. Look, Eobard murdered my mother and took my life away. Every day has been about making sure that no one else has to go through what I did, including you. I will not allow you to make the same mistakes that I once did. What if destroying the Speed Force has bigger consequences than losing our powers?" And Wally yells, "I don't care about the consequences." And Barry then says, "If you run, I will catch you." And Wally asks, "Do you remember what happened the first time that we raced?" The two pause for a moment, and as the two generate more power, Wally takes off with Barry shouting, "You have to stop!" Seconds later, as Barry catches up to Wally, they tear through the world, with Amanda Waller watching the two pass, and she tells Steve Trevor, "You might want to call in your friends. Tell them to clean up this mess before Task Force X is involved, because either way, the Flashes must be stopped." Wally shouts, "Hunter was right! My kids are trapped! There isn't another second that I'm going to stand around and do nothing!" Soon the ground around Amanda Waller and Steve Trevor begins to rumble, and Amanda asks, "Are they coming around again?" And Steve tells her, "No. You said to call on my friends, right?" Superman and the rest of the Justice League begin to touch down, with Diana asking, "What is going on? You said the Flash was in danger?" And Amanda tells him, "No, the Flash is the danger. It appears that there are two Flashes and they're racing. It just might bring the end of the world that we're supposed to be protecting." Cyborg taps into the network and says, "Waller's telling the truth for once. The energy that they're generating is playing havoc with every fabric of the multiverse." Superman kneels down, telling them, "If there's even a slight chance that they can hurt someone, I'm gonna catch up and talk some sense into them." In a flash, Superman takes off, following close behind, calling out to Barry and Wally, telling them, "You have to stop!" However, to them, they're running too fast, and they're so involved in their own argument that Superman's words don't even reach them. Back with everyone, there's a blue flash, with Superman stopping, taking a deep breath, stating, "I couldn't catch them. They're going too fast." Hal Jordan reports in, telling everyone, "Hey, don't worry. If the blue couldn't get their attention, maybe green will." Roy then asks, "Wouldn't going that speed kill them if they hit the wall?" And Hal says, being friends with Barry for this long means that I've been subjected to his flashbacks for years. I'm using all of my will to vibrate this construct at a frequency that if they run through it, it'll slow them down but not kill them. But as Wally runs through it, he plows through the construct, destroying it, forcing Barry to stop and save Hal. Barry tells him, I know you're trying to help, but it's too dangerous for any of you to be here. After setting him down, Hal reports that they nearly broke his ring. The energy that they are giving off demolished his construct. This is bad. Real bad, guys. Barry manages to catch up, shouting, what is wrong with you? Hal is our friend and you nearly killed him. He grabs Wally by the arm, throwing him into a building. But Wally lands feet first and continues running, telling them, I knew that you were going to be there to save him. Wally tells him, if you trust me, now's the time to show it, Barry. Barry asks, what do you want me to do then? Wally tells him, we need to continue to race into the Speed Force, smashing through the other side. And Barry says, we both have gotten lost in the Speed Force before, Wally. And Wally tells him, that's because we were alone. This time we could stay grounded. We are each other's lightning rods, Barry. Just then, Wally begins to break through the Speed Force barrier, with Barry yelling, telling him, I can't keep up. Something is wrong. There's pain. Barry begins to fall back, shouting, wait! But Wally calls out, telling him, you just have to believe. I can save my children. I have to. There's a loud crack-oom! And both Barry and Wally are thrown out of the Speed Force. Barry gets up stating, I still feel connected to the Speed Force, but something's wrong. And just then there's another loud boom, with the Justice League landing and Diana shouting, what have you done? Barry asks, what is she talking about? And Aquaman tells him, look into the sky! As the two look up, they see lightning storms covering everything, and Barry says, I think we just broke the Speed Force. Wally then asks, but what about Irate and Jai? Hunter said! But before he could finish, Barry and Wally hear the sounds of cracks as somebody is going through hitting all of the heroes, and a voice calls out to them. The voice tells them, you didn't free them. You didn't break the Speed Force. All you did was break the Force barrier and unleash something else that was trapped long ago. Barry shouts to Hunter as he's holding Batman's unconscious body. And Hunter tells him, you always wanted to be like Barry, and now you can be. A selfish man who hurt the world. Wally asks, what are you talking about? And Hunter says, I needed you to break the Force barrier so that I could gain access to what was still inside of the Speed Force. Barry steps forward shouting, you lied! And he begins to create a whirlwind blast, but Hunter holds up Batman's body, letting him take the hit and being sent off across the city. Hunter yells, you did what a hero does. You took the risk. And yes, I do know where Wally's family really is. But I saw the dangers that are coming into our world and what you needed to be a true hero. Like a fool, I hoped it would have been Wally. Hunter holds up a ring, telling them, Eobard used to hang on to Barry's original Flash ring, hoping the same thing for him. As the ring opens up, a red costume comes out and Hunter tells them, no one understands tragedy like I do. My name is Hunter Solomon, and I am the Flash. I am much, much more than just the fastest man alive. You think that you know everything about the Speed Force, but that's just one of the forces out there. And now you have freed them all. Barry and Wally start rushing towards Hunter, but Hunter holds out his hand and the two stop. Hunter tells them, the history books call these forces the Sage Force and the Strength Force. Hunter telepathically lifts Barry and Wally into the air and then punches them back down, telling them, I saw how these would eventually make your lives a living hell, and I'm going to save you from that future, and use these powers to kill both of you, and finally bring back the life that was taken. As Hunter starts to take the two down, Wally jumps to his feet and takes Hunter away, asking, where are my kids? Where did you hide them? And Hunter grabs Wally by the throat, telling him, no, that's not on me. You never understood, but Barry gets it. Barry knows how tragedy makes a hero. You practically lived the same life. A madman changed your lives forever, and destiny turned you into heroes. These events turned me into Zoom, but that was the path that I needed to run to join you as the new Flash. Together, both Barry and Wally yell that there's never going to be a time when he becomes the Flash. And Hunter punches Barry and mentally stops Wally, telling him, I'm stronger and smarter. You were always blind to the Speed Force, and look where that got you. We thought these heroes were equals when we should have been your masters. It never crossed your minds what other forces would be out there. Now with the Flash family broken, it's time to fix the past, present, and future. As Hunter turns back and he begins to run, Wally helps Barry up, telling him that they need to hurry and follow Hunter before things get even worse. Meanwhile, back with the others floating in nothingness, Wallace asks, where are we? Are we dead? And Cole tells him, no. I was able to get us away from the time wave before it could get us. I just couldn't set coordinates. This must be the no-when. Iris asks what are they supposed to do, and Cole tells her Kid Flash can run us back into the time stream. That way, we can get back home. Wallace says that he doesn't have a lightning rod like Barry or Wally, and Iris stops him, telling him, yeah, you do. You're a member of our family, and you know exactly who to run to when you're worried. You can do this. Now run, damn it! Wallace grabs a hold of Iris and Cole's arm, shouting, yes, ma'am! and he starts to run. Over with Hunter, he punches through into the time stream, and he looks back and he sees Barry and Wally, and he laughs, telling them, "It looks like I've got some sidekicks." The two try to grab a hold of Hunter, but as Hunter dodges, he tells them, "This is so much bigger than you. Thanks to you breaking the force barrier, I can cross the line into hyper time. Here I can pick and choose the reality that I want to be the hero that you need. All that's needed is the last force." As the realities begin to bend around everyone, Barry says that he must be talking about the still force. The Justice League just recently encountered it. It's a dark alternate current to the speed force. Wally yells, "Whatever it is, we can't let Hunter get a hold of it. What's worse is I've been in hyper time before, and this doesn't look right." Barry says, "It's gotta be dying because of the source wall breaking. That's why we need." But Wally stops as he sees images of I, Ray, and Jai stating, "That's my kid's future!" Barry calls out to him, but Hunter hits him, telling him, "Wally is starting to understand. We can all get what we want." Hunter starts running through a reality where Wally has his family, and just as he begins to stop and look, Barry tells him, "We have to keep going. The longer that we wait, the further that Hunter's going to get, and we will find them again." And Wally starts running, telling him, "You're right. I know you're right." And that's when there's a loud crack, and as everyone stops, Wally asks, "What is this?" And Hunter says, "Don't you recognize the 25th century? You were just here, but your adventures erased it." Wally shouts, asking, "Where are Iris and Wallace?" And Hunter attacks them, telling them, "It doesn't matter. All is lost and found at my whim. You could have had these powers if you weren't so weak, but you're unworthy of even fighting for it." Hunter grabs Wally by the neck, and as he grabs him, Wally's eyes begin to glow as another memory comes in, and he shouts, "We used to be friends!" As Wally remembers, Hunter is knocked away by the temporal energy, and he asks, "What did you do? I need to get back into hyper time." Barry and Wally take off after him, and Barry asks, "Did you see that? Your temporal seizure hurt Hunter. That could be the key to winning this whole thing." Wally asks him how, and Barry tells him, "Whenever you think about something from your past, you have a burst of temporal energy, and that clashes with the Speed Force connection. Now that Hunter is connected to the Speed Force, temporal energy should hurt him. It might be possible to use that energy to expel him from hyper time." Wally asks what happens if he uses the temporal energy and he forgets his family again. And Barry shouts, "You won't. You just have to embrace them. The past and legacy are important, and you can learn from them to help you move forward. Your connection to the people that you love, whether here or not, is your greatest gift." Wally then asks, "How are we going to catch up to Hunter?" And Barry asks, "Remember when you asked me about the first time that we raced?" Of course I remembered. I was so lost in the science of the Speed Force that I missed out on just having fun and cutting loose. Wally West always enjoyed speed, and right now, you need to remember that Wally West is the fastest man alive. Wally begins to focus on his running, and slowly he begins to inch closer and closer to Hunter. And then he tells Hunter, "This race is over." Hunter asks him, "Do you really think you can keep up with me?" And he swings, except his arm goes through Wally. Wally laughs, asking, "Ha ha, as you like that, I want intangible from vibrating so much. It's something my daughter taught me. You've helped me remember everyone in my life and the people who made me. So for that, thank you for reminding me that I don't run through the Speed Force alone." Wally starts to concentrate, and he lets out the temporal energy that he's been storing up with the memories of his family, and unleashes it onto Hunter Zolomon. And as he does, there's a loud crack-a-coom, and Barry finds himself back in Central City. He looks around asking where Wally and Hunter are, and that's when there's a loud crack-a-boom, and Wallace comes running out holding Iris and Colt. He gets up telling them that he didn't think he could go that fast. And Barry tells him, "That was amazing! You found your way back!" And Wallace stops him, stating that he found his way back because he let his anger guide him. As Wallace pushes Barry back, Barry asks him, "What?" And Wallace tells him, "It's because we're supposed to be a family. And when we were in the future, you left me." Iris pulls Wallace away, stating it's okay, and Wallace tells her, "No, it's not. We can't keep doing this." Cole checks his scanner and he asks Barry, "What the hell did you do in there? The force barrier's a mess. The fact that I'm alive means the future must have been fixed. Hopefully. What's worse, there's no temporal energy, which means all speedsters are done. Forever. All access to hyper time is shut down, and I'm stuck here." Iris asks, "What about Wally?" And Cole looks at the scanner, stating, "Well, I'm not sure if it's him or not, but someone is connected to the Speed Force in this time period." Over at Mount Hood in Oregon, Wally starts to pick himself up from the snow, and Barry says, "Let me help." Wally asks, "Where is?" And Barry tells him, "They're at home, or at least in the correct time period." Wally says, "No, Hunter." And Barry tells him he's not sure. Wally pushes Barry off, stating that they escaped. That means that Hunter escaped too. They need to find him. And Barry runs in, telling him, "Stop! Can't we just talk for a second?" Wally tells him, "I've been angry at you for so long, and that's because you mean everything to me. It wasn't Linda or the kids who grounded me, it was Barry Allen. You pulled me out of the Speed Force, and I may be faster, but I could never outrun you." Hunter was right. I wanted him to be so badly, and I ended up making the same selfish mistakes as you. It was wrong of me to ask you to run with me after everything Eobard did to you. So right now, I need to go back to the future and find Hunter. Barry stops him. You can't. When you released your temporal energy, you cut off time travel. Wally steps back asking, then Hunter won. Barry then says, we may have lost, but right now, we need to stop running. Wally asks, what? Like you did after your mother's death? You stood still for years. You might have made your own mistakes, but I refuse to make yours again. We're not the same, and I'll never stop running, Barry. As Wally leaves, Barry stands there thinking about the things that have changed. He is not the fastest man alive anymore. After briefing the League on everything that had happened, everyone went their separate ways, with Wallace following Damian Wayne and Iris going out to find Wally. But even with the forest barrier being shattered, if there's one thing that he can learn from loss, it's that he will always find hope. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a young speedster comes through the street stating, not sure if you heard me, Wally, but if not, who cares? The force barrier is down and the one and only Bart Allen is back. Back in the 25th century, the Renegades hurry over to Iron Heights Penitentiary, and Golden Guardian says that the readings show that there have been some massive changes. Whether Warlock asks what are they supposed to do, they are all that's left of the Renegades. Golden Guardian shouts that they will deal with that later. Iron Heights is the greatest prison in the multiverse. Eobard built it after he caught its only inmate, if he ever escaped. But as the Renegades turn the corner, a bolt of lightning strikes them, baiting them from existence, and a voice says, finally, the Flashes will pay for what they have done. The metal doors fall over, revealing the name of the inmate, Crisis. And Crisis says, worlds will live, worlds will die. The multiverse will never be the same. And that is the 3-hour video for the entire 1 through 50 issues of The Flash. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to know what happens next, subscribe to the channel because the storyline has kept going. We are literally on issue 80 right now, so I've got a lot more videos for you to find. The entire playlist will be down below, so after this is done, you can go ahead and click the next one on the playlist, and I'll give you that link. Otherwise, if you want to get more Flash, you want to get more Superman, Batman, more Spider-Man, Deadpool, subscribe to the channel, because if you subscribe to our channel and turn on that little bell for notifications, you'll know when we put out more videos. I hope you had a good time. We had a great time making this entire series for you, and thank you so much for your support by watching this entire video. We'll see you next time right here at Comic Historian.